Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show as we broadcast live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining the show. And don't forget to press that share button right now. If you're listening and watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, do me a big favor, all right? I'm your boy, right? All right, go ahead and hit that share button. Let all your friends know you're listening and watching thepowerofvoices.com. The Lee Michaels Show is on the air. Also, you can go to our website directly and listen to the audio. When you get to the home page, on the right-hand side, there's a green button there that says Listen Live. You can click on that. Also, you can go to your favorite app store, whether you have an iPhone or a Samsung phone or any kind of Android for that matter, and download the free app for The Power of Voices. And boom, you got it all. You can watch the video in the app. You can listen to the audio. You can hit the contact us and send us an email. There's all kind of neat stuff you can check out inside the app. All right, so check that out as well. It works on the iPad, iPhone, and any Android device. How easy can we make it for you? Come on. I mean, like, really. Yeah, Lee Michaels is in rare form this morning. Good morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to be seen and all of that. Wow. The Olympics are on fire. America's crushing them in almost every event except tennis. What happened to my Serena and Venus? Got squashed first round. First time ever they lost in the pairs as well as the singles. They're not focused. I guess they said, Rio, what the hell? Ain't enough money in it. No money. You get no money. You get some medals. But hell, I think they got 4 or 5 medals already, so maybe it's just not a big deal anymore. It's not like winning $1 million or $2, $3 million, $5 million in a serious tennis match. But I don't know. I was quite surprised that they got rolled over like that. And, the volleyball has been kind of exciting. I didn't get a chance to watch much of that. I don't get a chance to watch it during the day. So when I get out of here in the evening, I go check out a little bit. The swimming last night was pretty phenomenal. The gymnastics, wow, America crushed them. I mean, like a landslide over the nearest competitor. What was it, Russia, then China, were the 3 medalists. So pretty exciting. I'm now getting into the swing of things in terms of the Olympics. But for the first couple of days, I didn't really focus in on. I guess I was too busy doing other things. But now I'm kind of excited about it. And to say the least, the political commentary and the buffoonery and shenanigans coming out of Donald Trump just doesn't seem to stop. And I was listening to the show that came on before this show, Tammy's Take. And, it's amazing how they can find ways, at least in their minds, how they can defend his bad behavior and his bovine that comes out of his mouth. I don't get it. Donald Trump is a dangerous man. And that's all I'm going to say about him today. For him to imply, make reference to innuendos, make a joke about that if Hillary gets into office, she's going to appoint judges that's going to overturn the Second Amendment, which is just a bold-faced lie. It's not going to happen, ever. Never, ever. So I don't know why people walk around with that kind of fear. Because some moron like Donald Trump comes on a microphone and makes that statement, and you say that, okay, if Donald says, oh my God, I'm pissing in my pants, I'm scared to death. Let me help you with that. It's not going to happen. It's too much in the American fiber for that to ever change. I don't give a damn about it, but too many gun owners and the NRA is too well implanted and has purchased, owned, and operating every politician out there. So it's not going to go away. So y'all can forget about that. Finish business. It ain't going to happen. So let that one go. Like the argument about the Second Amendment, that somebody's going to take your rights away, it's not going to happen. That shouldn't even be a part of your conversation. Forget about it. Abortions, it ain't going to change. You know why? Because if a woman wants to have one, she's going to figure out how to do it. Whether she has to go to Planned Parenthood or in the hood, it's going down. It shouldn't be a part of the political conversation. The whole environmental thing. Hell, we're killing each other anyway, so what's the big deal? Should that be a big major thing in the campaign? No, it really shouldn't be. We should all take responsibility for being good citizens and take care of the air, the water that we so desperately need. It has to start with us first. Then we can force that upon our local government, our state, and our federal. But it's got to be important to us. If you want to continue to have clean water to drink, and the water that we desperately need as humans, 70% of our body is made up of water. So if we don't protect the water, shame on you. You a dumbass for not doing that. Okay? I'm keeping it real. So if that's not important to you, then you can go on and go to sleep. Forget about it. Now, the things that are important that we need to be talking about, we need to talk to our legislators and government officials from the top to the bottom. Things like jobs, okay, so that we can increase our income, so we can at least keep up with the cost of living increase. At least. Very minimum. And there are too many people that are not living at that level. How many out there, raise your damn hand, class, raise your hand if you are just barely making it. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. You're not able to put some money into your savings account, at least. Most people fall in that category. So those are the things that are important. How do we take care of our families? Okay? I'm not even going to get into, how do we buy a new car, a new house, and all that crap. I mean, just bare necessities. We need to take care of those first. Period. For all Americans. Those are the things that we need to figure out. Fix the infrastructure in this country. It's beginning to crumble. Bridges, tunnels, sewage systems, the electrical systems, all of that stuff. Those are important things. Jobs, more employment, folks. Fix our tax structure. Fix our educational system. Bring down the crime. Those are the things that are important to me, and most of my friends and associates, that's what we talk about. Those are the issues. So which candidate is qualified and will take care of those issues, deal with those issues without any politics involved? That's what we need. You can talk about all this other stuff, anything that you want to talk about, but the most important thing to most humans, especially in this country, are the issues that I just laid out. I may have missed one or two. And if you'd like to join me in this conversation, I welcome your input. I welcome your views. I'd like to hear from you. 424-227-9461. 424-227-9461. You're listening to The Power of Voices. I'm Lee Michaels. This is the so-called Lee Michaels Show. But it's really your show. You can put your name on it. I don't care. I don't have that kind of ego. My name is not Donald Trump. Everything I do does not have my name on it. In fact, I believe just the opposite of that. Most things that I've created did not have my name on it at all. Not that I'm not proud of my name, but doesn't need to be there. I can market and promote any name. The Power of Voices, USA Talk Network, Hubba Bubba Jubba. You know, think about how many different companies that you do business with that are successful, that are not named after an individual. So it doesn't have to be that personal. I could name off 10 companies right now that are owned by people that you would go, for real? I didn't know that. So how important is that anyway? Unless you're just feeding your own damn ego. It is what it is. 424-227-9461. 424-227-9461. That's my connection number. You can contact me now. And we're on the air until noon Pacific time, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon. So Donald Trump made this statement yesterday that implied that if Hillary Clinton becomes a president, she's going to elect Supreme Court justices that will change the Second Amendment and take away your gun rights. Again, that's just not true. Then he went further to say, well, if she gets in, maybe the gun owners, the NRA members, will take care of it. What does that mean, Mr. Trump? Are you trying to imply that maybe they would take her out? And the pundits, the Republican safeguard, are trying to say, well, he was just joking. Well, I don't see any humor in that. I really don't. If you're seriously about becoming the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, you don't joke around like that. It's just not presidential. And it supports my big fat claim that Donald Trump does not want to become the president of the United States. There's no way in hell anybody with any kind of reasonable thought would make these kind of statements and be serious about winning that office. And I have confidence in the American people that you will see through his shenanigans. And come November 8th, you will go in with a clear conscience and understand that this man is not for you. He's not for you. He's not for me. He's not for the American people. He's not for this country. It's all about himself. And if he gets into office by some hook or crook, I pity all of us because I just don't think that he is smart enough to pull it off. I think he will surround himself with like-minded people who are selfish, self-serving type people that will get in there and just rape and pillage the government for their own personal gain. Everything points to that. Look at how this guy runs his businesses. And I read somewhere where he's been sued or involved in lawsuits 1,300 times. That's a lot of lawsuits. How could you possibly be in court? He must have his own law firm that he owns, a Donald Trump law firm. I mean, really? 1,300 lawsuits? Whether he brought them on or someone else, it doesn't matter. If you end up in court 1,300 times, something's wrong. And some of that blame's got to be falling in his lap. I mean, really, you can't get sued or sue somebody 1,300 times without doing something wrong. Something not right. It isn't. It can't be. It's impossible for this guy to be a decent, above board business person if you've been sued 1,300 times. Think about it. How many times have you been sued in civil court? How many times? He doesn't like to pay his bills. We know that because vendors have been coming out left and right. From contractors building, helping them build these buildings that he's been involved in, whether it's a golf course or, whatever it is. The piano guy out of New Jersey got stiffed for $30,000. That $30,000 is 30 G's. I don't give a damn how much money you got. 30 grand is 30 grand. So if you sell somebody $100,000 worth of pianos and they months and months later end up forcing you to take 70,000 because you can't float your money much longer, what profit, if any, did this guy make? I mean, he doesn't honor the contracts that he entered into. That's not honorable. That's not trustworthy. That's not a guy that I would like to have as the president of the United States. Is he going to do business like that with foreign countries? And I talked a little bit about it yesterday. The United States government buys products and services from the private sector. The government doesn't make toilet paper and, eggs and milk, cheese. The government buys just about every product that you can think of. It has to buy, food for the military. The government doesn't make any of that, doesn't grow trees for apples and oranges and all that kind of stuff. It has to buy it from somebody. So if Donald Trump becomes the president, is he going to use the same business practices that he uses now in his private sector? Is he going to not honor the contracts that the federal government enters into with the various vendors? It's already tough enough to get a vendor contract with the government. And many times you're in a bidding situation, so your price is going to get beat down. So if I'm going to sell 1 million rolls of toilet paper to the United States government and we agree upon, or I win the bid, but at the end of the day, after I ship these 1 million rolls of toilet paper to the government, and let's just say for number's sake that it's $100,000 worth of toilet paper, and I'm sitting there by my mailbox or waiting for the wire transfer, the monies to come in because I've already bought that toilet paper from whoever I buy it from. And I had to negotiate a price based on the volume. Okay, so maybe my price, my wholesale price, might be $80,000. So I got a $20,000 profit in that $100,000 contract with the U.S. government. Now I'm waiting 90 days, 120. I get no check, no wire transfer. I start calling, say, Mr. Government, when can I expect my check? Well, we don't have the money. What do you mean you don't have the money? Well, we can't pay you right now. We're paying other vendors, and you just going to have to wait. What do you mean I got to wait? I've already been waiting 6 months. I can't wait any longer. I'm about to crap on myself, and I sold you all the damn toilet paper. And I've already paid that bill to my wholesaler, or I only paid half of it. And he wants his money now. I got to have my money now so I can pay him. I'm sorry, Mr. Michaels. You just going to have to wait. The government is broke. We don't have the money. Well, go print some more damn money. Call up Chase and tell them to give you a loan so you can pay your damn bills. Click up, they hang up on you. You see what I'm saying? But this is how Donald Trump has been doing business with the vendors that help him build these buildings and run his organizations. That's not fair. And it's no honor. And you don't deserve to be the president of the United States just on that one thing, as far as I'm concerned. That's one of my biggest issues with him. No honor, no respect, not trustworthy. You don't honor your own commitment. When you enter into a contract, it is what it is. You can't say, too bad, so sad. I got your products or your services are done. Thank you very much, but I can't pay you. Then you shouldn't have hired me to do the job. You shouldn't hire anyone if you don't have the ability to pay. The problem I see here is he has the ability to pay, he just don't want to. It's power play. I'm Donald Trump. If you want to do business with me, you have to take it the way I give it to you. That's a pimp mentality. And I don't like it. It's un-American. It's not good business practices. And you shouldn't treat people that way. Reverse the shoe, Donald. What if people did you that way? You wouldn't like it, would you? Your hair would spin around on your damn head. You'd be calling your sons and daughter and saying, hey, these people are not treating me fair. We need to, what do we need to do to get the money? See, that's how I see things. And he just doesn't play that game that way. It's a one-sided game, which means he is self-serving. It's all about him. It's not about you. And you're supposed to feel honored to get a contract with him, to do business with him, even though you know he's going to piss in your face. You know that. You know you're going to get screwed. You got to know that going in. Now, he's not the only guy that does business that way. There's a bunch of people out there, and that's not right. And you wonder why people don't want to do business with American companies? You still thinking about it? Okay. I'm trying to keep it plain, simple and clear, so you understand what's really, 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 really going on. Now, if you think that's okay, then you're a pretty sad individual yourself. If you think it's okay to do business that way, shame on you. Because it's not. You wouldn't like it if someone was doing that to you. So why you should do that to someone else is beyond me. It just doesn't make sense at all. How do you sleep at night? I don't get that. And it certainly is not American. It's not the spirit of this country. If we have reduced ourselves to that, then, to hell with us, because you're not going to get far treating people that way, doing business that way. It's not the way it should go. At all. 424-227-9461. If you disagree with me, I'd like to hear your point of view on this. Do you think I'm being twisted? I'm not viewing this properly? I'll listen to your argument. I won't chop your head off and I won't hang up on you. It's not this is not that type of talk show. I will listen to you and I might debate with you. Might try to get you to see the other side of it. But then we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to call you names and make you feel like you're stupid and all that. It's not the Rush Limbaugh show. It's not the Sean Hannity show. Or any of those nutball, whack job, knuckle draggers type show. It's not the Charles Butler show. I better not talk about him because he'll call in. And then I'll have to take off the gloves and knock his crazy butt out. But, I try to have an open mic, open type show with all points of view. I have Republicans on. I have Democrats on. I have independents. Don't get too many libertarians. They're kind of quiet. You ever notice that? And they wonder why they can't win? Well, first of all, you got the wrong candidates. They're so far out there in Zululand, you need to get on a spaceship to get close to them because they're so far out. They don't articulate their argument very well. Scott Johnson, he is strange. I tried to listen to one of his town hall meetings, and I went, what did he say? I left not understanding very much of what he's trying to accomplish. They hit some bullet points, but then when they try to explain what that means, you get lost. I do. Maybe it's just that I can't comprehend. Maybe I'm not saying I'm the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I think I can reason pretty well. I mean, I got this far. You know, I think I know the difference between right and wrong, and left and right, and up and down, and some basic common sense kind of thing. I can go there, not without too much, trouble. But they're not clear to me. Not at all. So the Libertarian Party and the other third parties, y'all don't know how to market. And you got some of the same issues that Donald Trump has. He doesn't articulate himself very well. He can sit there and talk for an hour, but you go, what the is he saying? What was his point? All you walk away with is this sour taste in your mouth from this guy that he just leaves you with this hate-filled feeling. And then you look at the people that are following him. Well, there you go. Birds of a feather flock together. And that's pretty disappointing, because you would like to think that in 2016, here we are in the 8th month, the month of August 2016, and less than 90 days away from another presidential election, and a significant change, or a lot of people up for renewal or replacement in the House and the Senate, governors, and in state House and Senate positions as well. There could be a lot of changes that could completely change the look and feel and how America operates moving forward. And those decisions to bring about those changes are in your hands. If you don't go out and vote, well, let's deal with the process here. First of all, if you are 18 and older, don't have a felony record, there's no reason why you should not be a registered voter. If you have never voted before and you are not a felon, you're 18 or older, go register to vote. It's not a big deal. You don't have to go through a whole lot of, craziness unless you're down in some of these states that make you show, all kind of proof of ID and all that kind of crazy. But even so, do that. Go through the process, whatever it takes. If you need to have a driver's license or state ID, proof of where you live, go through it. It's worth it. And I guarantee you, without any doubt in my mind, once you go through the process, you'll go, wow, it wasn't that big of a deal. And you'll feel better about yourself because you can now say, I am a registered voter. My vote can and should be counted. So that's the first step. Then come November 8th. When you walk into that booth, you have to have done your due diligence. You have to study the people who are running that are going to be on the ballot. And you can also get a sample ballot. Now, in the state of California, they send you a ballot in the mail prior to the election. I'm not sure how early, maybe a few weeks before. So you can get familiar with every person in the different categories, whether they're running for governor or U.S. Senate, state senators, or congressional members, rather. It could be some local stuff in terms of council members and what have you. So do your homework and look up each person. Watch the news, read the newspapers, go online, talk to your friends and neighbors, and get some information, some background. It's called due diligence on each candidate so you can know who represents you the best. And you may not find the perfect candidate that you agree with everything that he or she is running on, but pick the one that at least gets close to how you feel and will deal with your needs on a local and federal level. That's a process. And I look at it this way. You have a obligation to participate in the voting process. There's been bloodshed to get to this point, to where we are today. Only 51 years ago, the Voting Rights Act was signed by Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was president at that time, who was the vice president to John Kennedy. 51 years ago, that was signed into play by a Democrat, not a Republican. And the Republicans have been fighting against that act ever since. They've made all kind of modifications to make it more difficult for people to even register to vote. So I'm telling you, don't let it stop you. Register today. Go out and do it. It's your American right and obligation to participate in the process. Come November 8th, you go into the booth, you vote for the candidate of your choice. And I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I can tell you who I like, and that's my opinion. But you make your choice based on the candidate that fits what is important to you. All right. So that being said, that's all you have to do. Now, if you don't register, you have no voice because you can't vote. If you are a registered voter and you decide to do a protest non-vote, then don't bitch and bellyache come November 9th and you don't like the results. And it's, well, I didn't like either one of the candidates for president. Okay, you had a choice during the primaries. Well, I didn't like any of them. Again, it goes right back to what I said a few seconds ago. You got to pick the one that's closest to who will fit your needs, who you believe in. There's no perfect situation here. You're not going to find a candidate that's exactly what I want. Now, I voted for President Barack Obama twice. And if it was legal and he ran again, I'd probably vote for him again. Okay? Not because he's black or half white, whatever way you want to look at him. I like the spirit of this man. I feel I can trust him. I feel that he worked very hard for the American people, not just black people, because there's a lot of brothers and sisters bitching and bellyaching about Barack Obama. Well, he didn't do enough for the black people. Well, who has? I'm not making excuses for him. But you know damn well. Now, let's keep it real. Let's cut through the chase here, folks. Now, you know doggone well that if President Barack Obama had gone out there and become the Ungawa Black Power president and pushed through every black agenda that we'd like for him to push through, reparations and all those things, how long do you think that guy would have lasted? What would his legacy be? Well, he was the black guy that came in and took care of all the black people. Gave everybody 40 acres and a mule. And that would be his legacy. And guess what? you'd still be in the same shithole because that's not what you need. The things that he has done has been for all Americans. And when you're the president of the United States, that's where you live. You don't live in just certain neighborhoods. You don't represent just a certain segment of the population. You represent all the people. So if you make changes in the educational system, then that helps everybody, including people that look like you and me. You got to get off your rusty dusty and participate in the process. It's not going to come and show up on your front doorstep and say, here I am. No, you got to go out and get it. You got to apply for these various programs and situations, the various schools. And I can sit here and talk for the next 16 hours about our educational system. It needs to be fixed. It could be a lot better. It's one of the best in the world, but do we want to settle for mediocrity? You know, ho-hum, okay. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let it roll the way it is. Then how do things change and become better? Let's keep striving for better. Don't just settle for, yeah, it's good. It's not good enough. Let's make it better. Good, better, best. Make sense? So that's what I'm talking about. We shouldn't just sit around and say, well, you know, I made it through on the way it was. But you struggle a bit. And I don't like the fact that when you send our children to college and you want them to go to the best schools and all of that, and we have a choice now. We could say, listen, son or daughter, I want you to go to Yale. I want you to go to, Michigan or UCLA or wherever. Some of the big schools, Purdue or wherever, right? But I can't afford it. And I don't want to see you strapped with huge student loans. And yeah, we can apply for some scholarship money, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get 100% of it or even 10%. You can try, and I encourage you to do that. But you have to have something special to get these free rides, if you will. Academically, you got to be hitting the ball out of the park 100 all the time. And not everybody has that capability. Let's just be straight up. Everybody's not a 4.0 student. So if you don't have that and some other special qualities, you're not even going to be considered for a full scholarship. So that when you come out with this piece of paper, that degree, when you walk across that stage and they give it to you, and you coming off that stage feeling all good, you got that roll in your hand, and you say, I'm ready to go out and conquer the damn world. I made it. I've got my degree. Bring it on, world. I'm going out here to look for my $150,000, $200,000 job. Shit. Ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Only a handful. The way that happens, the only way it happens is you got to have the hookup. And you know I'm telling the truth. You can be outstanding. In high school, college, you got your degree, and you ready to be a professional in whatever your degree is in. But guess what? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of other people looking for that same job. And unfortunately, there are not thousands and thousands and thousands of those 150, 200,000, 250,000 jobs available. It's the funnel effect. Okay? You know what a funnel looks like? You got the big end and you got the little end. So you got 100,000 students coming out of college every year. And they graduate, okay? But there aren't 100,000 jobs that are perfect for each one of those students that are graduating. It's like the NFL or any of the other sports leagues. You got more potential players than you have positions. So everybody ain't going to win. Everybody's not going to get on a team. So you're going to have to settle for something else. But do they tell us that? No. What they tell you is you come here and pay us $50, $60, $70, $100,000 a year. We're going to prepare you for the world. And you walk off that stage with your degree in your hand, you are ready. Go play ball. Go get that job. Well, if your name is not Houdini, most of the people are not going to have that kind of success. I'm just keeping it real. You might find a job. Now you're strapped with $180,000, $200,000, $300,000 in student loans. You'll be ready to retire before you pay that stuff off. Almost slipped. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Really. I don't want to, sound like doom and gloom, but I can't lie to you. I can't. You better have a backup plan, plan A, plan B, and maybe a plan C. Because your plan A may not be there when you are ready for it. And it may never happen. So what's your plan? What's your backup plan? So you went into college and you got a degree in whatever. Let's say business. And there's probably 200,000 others that are coming out with the same kind of degree from same level school. We're not even going to talk about the non-big time schools. So how do you break through? Okay. I don't always sit here and talk about problems. I try to offer some solutions. It's about relationships. Okay? When you're in school, when you're out in the world, you're meeting the sons and daughters of other people. Find out who their mom and dads are. Build a friendly relationship with your classmates, your roommates. Build a relationship, because if you get out in the real world and get lucky and get a great job, and you know your roommate or classmates that you hung out with in college, maybe even in high school as well, that they're good people. They're honest, they work hard and what have you. And if they apply for a job that you could help them get employed in, guess what? You'll probably put in a good word. You'll do a good recommendation for your friend, right? Or if you know someone in another organization, another company that's looking for somebody, and maybe that job hasn't been public knowledge or posted yet. So you pick up the phone and call your roommate or your classmate from college. Say, hey, man, listen, Nabisco is about to open up, 25 jobs in their legal department, and it's not posted yet, but, you might want to get your resume together and get it in. It's called relationships. People on the inside that have knowledge to things that are about to happen. I can't tell you how many times people have called me over the years and say, hey, Lee, you know of anything that's popping in the business? I said, well, let me think. I did talk to, so-and-so the other day, and he was telling me he was not happy with his afternoon guy, so I don't know if he's going to blow the guy out or what, but you might want to send a tape and resume to that guy. See what I'm saying? And put me down as a reference. That's the real world. It's about relationships, building relationships in your lifetime. Don't sit around and play video games all day long. Don't sit around and, smoking some blunts and bovining all day, hanging out in the clubs and all that kind. Yeah, that's part of growing up. But don't make that your life. You got to surround yourself with people that you can work with, that have respect for you, help you move on down the road. Building relationships. You could call it networking. You could call it that. But it's all about relationships. I guarantee you right now, I can pick up my cell phone right now and call any number of people that I know or have known for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the broadcast business. And we can have a conversation on any level. If I need assistance on building a studio, I know 10 engineers I can consult with. And if they need help, they'll call me. If a new radio station is launching somewhere, and they need a programming consultant, people will call me and say, "Hey, man, there's an opportunity open up, Lee. You want to get down with this?" That's how it works. Building relationships. Who you know is still important. And I think it always will be. Even when the robots take over. When you need to buy a robot, you better know somebody, because all robots are not going to be equal. It's like everything else in life. In every graduation class in college, whether you're coming out with a medical degree or a legal lawyer, to be a lawyer, or a baseball player, it doesn't matter. There's a person at the top of the class, and there was somebody at number 500. There's an elite, smart, super smart person, and another guy that made the cut. There's a difference. And I always try to look at that, especially when I'm going to hire a professional, especially with doctors, and then their attitude, how detailed they are with you, how they communicate with you. All those things are very, very important. You can be the smartest guy in the world and be a real twerp. If you run across people like that, they're very intelligent. But you can't have a normal conversation with them because they're so abstract. They know what they're talking about, and they think everybody is on the same level, and they don't know how to break it down to the layman. So you're sitting there in a doctor's office, and he's telling you got 3 months to live in so many words. He's using all these medical terms. You said, doctor, wait, slow down. What are you telling me? I have no idea of these terms that you're using, what it means. All I want to know is, am I going to die? Is there a cure? What's going on? Now, why can't doctors talk to you that way? Just because you went to school and you spent $8 million to become a doctor, why should you sit there and use all these terms that you know damn well your patient doesn't understand? Does that bother you? Drives me crazy. But I'm that guy. I'm that one. They'll say, "Hey, doc, slow down. I respect the fact that you are a professional and this is the language that you speak, but I am not a doctor. I don't know anything that you're talking about. So do me a favor. Explain to me without using all your medical terms what you're saying." And watch their mouths dry up a little bit, and they say, okay. Because, see, you got to understand, this is the world they live in. It's just like if I would come out and meet you and I start talking about the radio business, and I'm using all the terminology we use and all this stuff, you all of a sudden you're going to look like a deer looking into the headlights. You're going to you're going to be dumbfounded. You don't know what I'm talking about. I do. But I'm using terms you are not familiar with. So make them simplify the diagnosis. Make them talk to you in plain English. My son is going to Chicago tomorrow to see a neurologist. Fortunately, he's been to this neurologist before, and so have I, and so has his mom. So there's a relationship there. And she's the kind of doctor that I would recommend to a friend or someone that I didn't know. They're looking for a good neurologist, because I've had a good experience with this doctor. And she will explain things to you so that you can understand it. And that's what I like about her most. So, again, it goes right back to what I was talking about, or have been talking about for the last 30 minutes or so. Building relationships. If you're going to move forward in life, you better build some relationships. And I said better. Because if you don't, you're going to be walking around with nothing. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be an uphill battle. Build relationships. First, be kind and honest with people you want to have a relationship with. Be sympathetic. Be a good listener. People are always running their mouths. Usually put foot in mouth sooner or later. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Look at Donald Trump. Oh, you see how I slipped that in there? He walks around every day with both left and right foot in mouth. And his mouth is so big, you could put some Clydesdale hoofs in his mouth. On that, I would take a break. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to be here for another hour. You going to hang with me? 424-227-9461 if you agree or disagree. Want to hear from you. I'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. This is the Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com. Be right back. Hang on.
More than talk, we are a conversation. Thepowerofvoices.com.
Attention Las Vegas residents. Olympic Cleaning Services is the company for all your green cleaning needs. Call us now, 866-984-7444. Olympic Cleaning Services specializes in residential, commercial, construction, move-in, move-out, carpet cleaning, auto detailing, and we also provide emergency services when you need it. Call us now, 866-984-7444. For all first-time customers, you'll receive 15% off. Call us now, 866-984-7444, or go to OlympicCleaningservices.com. Go green today.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda, that's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated.
The library. On Jones' house. The bus stop.
And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Great. It sounds like we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Renee.
And I'm Adrienne Shapiro.
We're the founders of Access Advocacy, a nonprofit for the benefit of people with sickle cell disease.
We provide education and support for families, caregivers, and the medical community.
Join us every Tuesday at noon Pacific Time on thepowerofvoices.com.
We'll talk about current issues, what's on the horizon for treatment, and how to help families living with chronic diseases. And we look forward to you joining us on Tuesdays at noon Pacific on thepowerofvoices.com.
There is power in voice. Have some fun with us at thepowerofvoices.com.
Welcome back to the Lee Michaels Show. Live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Time on thepowerofvoices.com. We are live on Facebook Live, YouTube, and on our website, thepowerofvoices.com. And our funky theme song. Y'all like that? It's got a groove to it. I kind of like it. I guess that's the old school DJ in me. Thank you again so much for listening, and share the show with your friends. Go ahead and hit that share button on that Facebook. You can also catch the show on Twitter, because we share it out to Twitter as well. So if you follow us on Twitter, you got it. All right, so we're talking about relationships, how important it is in business and in your personal life. It's very, very important to build those relationships. Because when you have a conduit, if you will, access to people who are in the know, in powerful positions, it's helpful. When you need some information and you know someone that's in a position that has access to that unique information, and if you have a relationship with them, you can pick up the phone or text them or email them, inbox them, whatever way, mode of communication you're using, that you have access to that person with that special information. You got a relationship, you got the hookup. I said, yeah, Lee, no problem. I can get that information over to you. Give me about 10 minutes. Thanks, Bill. Okay, cool. No problem. And maybe one day Bill needs you to do something for him or her. That's the way it goes. Trust, fairness, honest, helps create good relationships. So, I brought up this whole relationship thing because I want to try to get you to understand the importance of looking at a presidential candidate. What kind of relationships do they have? People say, well, Donald Trump is a successful businessman. From the outside, looking at him, it appears to be. But when you hear from the people that have worked for him, some, not all, some are kissing his ring, and maybe he has been fair with them. But there are a lot of people who are saying that this guy is not an honorable guy. He's not trustworthy. He doesn't live up to his word, doesn't honor contracts. So that's not a good relationship, is it? With those people who have been burned by the Trump organization, I wouldn't call that a good relationship with him. Now, Hillary Clinton. You might say, well, she's got some issues. Yeah, everybody does. There's no, like I said earlier, in the first part of the show, there's no perfect candidate. And you might say, well, Lee, why do we have to settle for not perfect? Because we're human. We're voting for humans. And we have to vote for the person that best fits the job. What qualifications do they have? What experience do they have? It's a job. And you have to look at it as a job. You can't look at it as just famous, yeah, man, yeah, it'll be a good president because they're famous. Because I know their name. But do they understand the game, how it works, how politics works? That's what's scary to me about Trump, because he doesn't seem to understand how the system works. He doesn't get it. Now, you might say, well, he can hire people and bring in, a good cabinet, but I'm not sure that he's even qualified to do that. Look at the things that have happened thus far. The stuff that's come out of his mouth. The people that he's already fired his original campaign manager, not a good sign. Now, this guy was a jerk. But it goes back to, you hired the wrong person. Didn't you know this guy was a clown? Yes, you did. You knew the guy was crazy. You knew he could do some stuff that would upset the apple cart, but birds of a feather flock together. You feel me? Because they are like-minded. The problem is this guy got caught, and Donald had to let him go to save his own face. What did I say earlier? He's self-serving. It's all about him. He's already said that to you in any number of ways. I'm going to single-handedly do X, Y, and Z. No, you're not. It's not the way the government works. You're not a dictator. You're not a king. You don't own America. You own Trump Enterprises, whatever you own in your name. And see, here's another thing that bothers me with this guy. First of all, and I've been saying it almost from day one, this guy does not want to be president of the United States because he's too big of a pimp. And that would pull him out of his pimp game the way he's comfortable. Now, the right pimp getting into the White House could maybe have some good outcome for himself. I guess like most. But it would be all about him, not about you or me and the rest of Americans. The problem I have with this guy is I don't trust him. I just don't trust him. See, trust is important. You got to be able to trust that person that's going to lead the free world, that's going to be negotiating on our behalf with other leaders around the world. To know that he is going to be compassionate, cautious, thinking without crazy emotions when you're faced with tough decisions. You don't display the leadership running a private or public business because you have the gall, courage, I guess, to fire someone. Most people who are in those positions become very detached from emotional situations, and they don't really care about the individuals. They don't care the fact that you fire a person who's been with you for 20 years and is dependent upon that income to take care of his family, and he or she might have 2 kids in college by now, and you decide that, well, we got to make some cutbacks here, and Mr. Michaels over there has been doing a good job. He's been loyal. He shows up to work every day and all of that, but I need to save that $62,000 a year because I can, because I want to, because I don't need him anymore. I can bring in this chump from college and pay him $38,000, and I can take the rest of that money to the bottom line. I get it. Folks, I've sat in those corporate conference rooms and argued against those kinds of moves because, damn it, I care about the individuals that made the company successful. And we have to remember, it's about the people. The people make companies. The company don't just exist without people. They hire you because of your unique abilities, the qualities that you bring, the ability to negotiate, to write, arrange, produce, create products, make sure the the assembly line is working. It's called skills, talent. And no, we haven't gotten to that point yet where we don't need people to do anything. We've brought in a lot of computerization and automation that is simplified and can do the job of 100 people with one machine that might cost $500,000. I get it. Because in the industry that I've been in for 51 years, I remember the days when we actually had turntables in the studios. And we had reel-to-reel machines. And then we went to cart machines. And then after years and years of cart machines, which look like old 8-tracks, ask your grandmama or your mama, your daddy, Uncle Bill, what the hell is a 8-track? Well, that's what those cartridges used to look like that we used in the radio stations. They're a little bit different than the actual 8-track, but same size basically and all that. So the commercials and the music were recorded to these cartridges. Then when that became old technology, CDs came into play. And now, CDs. It's an old hat. It's old school. Now everything is digitally recorded to a computer hard drive. And hard drives are becoming extinct. Old school. Now the SSD drive, solid state drives, no moving parts. In your handheld phone, okay, there's a solid state drive in there. There's no moving disk rolling around, recording and saving your files. It's on a chip. So as technology has evolved over the years, things have gotten smaller, faster, more efficient, and the cost point is coming down. But somebody had to create all of this stuff. The idea, the concept, the design, the testing, the perfection of it all had to be some human intervention. So you can't get rid of all the people until you have the intelligence in a computer that can come up with ideas. Now, maybe in my lifetime we might get to that. I don't know. But somebody had to build that computer to do that. So, to all my technological challenge friends, y'all better get on it. Understand it, because it's not going to go away. It's going to continue to evolve and grow, and you better learn how to use it at least. And I encourage the young people to don't just become users, become creators. Be the next Bill Gates. Be the next great idea. It's not about just being a consumer anymore. Well, it's never really been. But that's what we've become. America has become consumers. We've lost our way as it relates to being creators. When the world used to say, wow, it's made in America, I got to have that. Now it's the other way around. Hardly anything that you use on a daily basis is made in America. Damn, that's a shame. Because there's some brilliant people and brilliant minds and very creative people here. But we are so damn greedy and only interested in larger profits that we're willing to compromise to buy something cheap, and in many cases cheaply built. But we say, okay, well, what the hell? It's only $19.95, so if it burns out in 6 months, I'll buy another one. As opposed to paying $29 or $39 for a quality well-built device in America. And guess what? You're helping someone to have a job. When it's made in America, that means Americans are being employed to create this product or provide a service. But we are so happy as American companies to outsource because we can make it happen at a lower cost point, which means now as the CEO, I can pay myself $8 million a year as opposed to $6 million because I pissed on some people in America, shipped those jobs out of the country, and by the way, let's not even bring the money back into America. Let's keep it offshore so that we don't have to pay taxes on it. Look, I want to be very wealthy. I want to make millions of dollars a year and all of that. And I have. And I paid taxes on it in America. I've never, and I never will, ship my money offshore to keep from paying taxes in America, the country that I live in, and where my children, my grandchildren live. How self-serving, how selfish. That's crazy. I don't like it. I don't participate in that. And any good red-blooded American wouldn't do it either. Because if we don't do it that way, if we learn to keep stuff here at home, America will continue to exist. If we keep doing it the other way, these selfish, self-serving companies and individuals are only looking out for their own wealth. And when the shit hits the fan and America looks like a third world country, they'll be fine and you won't. So this November, go into that booth educated about who's serving your best interests, who's going to look out for you and your children and your grandchildren and your grandchildren's children. You got to look down the line. If you're happy with your life today, you've got everything that you need and want, what should you do to ensure that that will carry on, that your children will have the same opportunities and more? Look, I remember the days when things were so much different than they are today, and they are a lot better. I'm not going to sit here and say that things are not good and, you know, I'd rather go back to the 1965. Damn, I don't know parts of it other than the Motown music. I'm still a fan of that. But listen, I don't want things to go backwards. I want things to go forward. I want things to continue to improve. That's what I'm all about, and I think that's where most Americans live. Some are stuck on stupid. Some are still stuck on 1962, 52, 42, 32. Some still are. And I feel sorry for them. And I don't know why they're hanging on to those old things. Yeah, I'm fond of those old days and memories. And my dad was alive, my mother was alive, my sisters, and all of that. Those were good times. I have fond moments of those days. But things are better now. And I want to make sure that they're better tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, so that my children and grandchildren won't have to go through or experience hard times. And it's up to us. It's up to you and up to me for as long as I'm going to be around. And God knows we don't know when your ticket is going to get called in. So while we're here, let's participate in the process of voting and picking the right people to be in those roles from the local level all the way up to the federal level, that have your best interests at heart and hold them accountable. Now, I would personally like to see a lot of things change. I'm into term limits. I don't believe the Supreme Court justices should be on that bench forever until they die or decide when they want to leave. I don't think that senators and House members should be in there forever. Governors, most of the states have some kind of limits. But we need to limit these guys. We don't need professional career politicians because that's when corruption kicks in. If they can't go in there and in 2 terms make something happen, see ya. Next. Let's keep this thing moving. Let's keep the fresh ideas, the hard-working people. These are stressful jobs. You don't need them to get in there and just get fat and happy. We don't need that. It doesn't work well because they become more self-serving as opposed to serving the public. You ever notice that most of these politicians that go in, whatever wealth level they are at when they go in, they come out a lot fatter. How? Why? Goes right back to what I talked about in the beginning of this show. Relationship building. The hookups. Think about it. You have a senator from your state. He or she is getting lobbied by lobbyists, special interest groups. Some mean well, some don't. Some are self-serving. Some are in the best interest of the people. So the idea of lobbyists is not completely bad, but I also think there should be some changes on that. I don't think a lobbyist should be able to contribute to a person's campaign at all. Come in there, make your argument, give your proof for why you think your product or service should be passed, and get the step in. But when someone is allowed to buy you, everything changes. When the money changes hands, the ideas become whatever they're going to be. It may not be in the best interest of America. A lot of these clean air things are, slowed down or get knocked down. Pharmaceutical companies lobbying Congress to get their stuff passed. And I could sit here for another 25 hours to talk about that industry. When was the last time you took a pill that cured whatever your problem was? Think about it. They don't want a cure. They want to prolong your life. They want to, put a Band-Aid on it, but they want you to keep buying those damn pills. That's the business they're in. They're not in the cure business. And I'm not saying, you shouldn't take some of these medicines because sometimes it keeps people alive. But that's about it. And they don't tell you that the poison that they're prescribing for you, eventually you might die from it. Because all of these pills, medications, have some kind of side effects to them. All of them. Even an aspirin. Read the labels, they'll tell you. But when they tell you that if you take this medicine, it'll help you, it'll make your pain feel a little better, you'll have a little less pain. And listen, this medicine is going to take some days and years off of your life because they're either going to kill your liver or your kidney. And that's what you're going to die from, liver or kidney failure. Now think about that. The pills or the medication that I'm prescribing for you will deteriorate your liver and or kidneys, and that's probably what you're going to die from if you take this medicine for an extended period of time or for the rest of your life. You might be taking that pill for a headache, backache, or whatever the ailment is. But because of the side effects, the poison that they're putting in you, it's going to kill one of your organs. It may speed your heart up too fast. It may destroy your liver or your kidney. You're going to die from organ failure. Why can't the doctors and the insurance companies, the pharmaceuticals, everybody involved in the medical industry be open and honest and describe in detail what they're prescribing for you? Why isn't that law? Why should we, as consumers, have to read a label that's put in a language that doesn't make sense to us because we're not at that educational level and the terminology means nothing to us? Why can't they be more honest and open and tell us what we're really taking here? What is this thing really going to do to help me or hurt me? Those are the kind of things I want to see our politicians deal with. Let's change those kind of rules. You're sitting there talking about the damn NRA. To hell with the NRA. Second Amendment ain't going to go nowhere, so let's not even waste any time on that. But that's a distraction. That's noise. That's fog in the room so that you can't really see what's really going on the other side. It's camouflage. Don't go for the okie doke. Don't get hoodwinked on this noise that these politicians are running on. Again, the Second Amendment ain't going nowhere. I don't care if you're scared because some jackass told you somebody's going to take your gun rights away. Do I agree that there should be some modifications to it? Absolutely. I don't think that everybody or anybody should be walking down the street with some semi-automatic rifle. Don't need it. And if you're that damn paranoid that you feel like you need something like that, you're in the wrong neighborhood. Move. The officials need to go in and clean up these criminals, get them out of your neighborhood, then you can sleep at night. Then you won't need to spend $800, $900, $1,500 on a AR-15 or whatever. Let's stop looking at things upside down. Let's look at it straight, vertical. What's this all about for real, for real? It's about selling guns and ammunition, instill fear in the people, in the public, make you scared to death that you got to go out and buy some of these guns. I got friends that have 25, 30 rifles, 5 or 6 handguns. Got one friend, he's a hunter. Love him to death. He's a brother from another mother. Andre Michael Egliston. Talk show host, recording artist, performer, great guy. But he's a hunter. He doesn't walk around with a sidearm and his a gun in the rifle rack in his pickup truck and threatening people or being paranoid. And one damn thing for sure, you ain't gonna roll up in his house and get away with it, doing something stupid. He's gonna protect his domain, rightfully so. And he has the proper credentials to own these firearms, bow and arrow, handguns, slingshot, pea shooter. He's got it. He's got everything. And I've gone hunting with him. But he's not one of these gun nuts. And he said one time he was a member of the NRA, but he's not anymore because he don't agree with them. But nobody's taking his rifles away. The cop has never been to his house and said, hey, man, you got to give up your guns. So why are people tripping? That's why I keep saying, Don't even bring that up. And I want to, if somebody out there, 424-227-9461, and you are paranoid, scared to death that the government is going to come into your house and take your guns away, please call me. I want to have that conversation. Call me. I'm not going to treat you with disrespect. I just want to have a conversation with you and try to understand why you think that's going to happen. Because President Obama didn't do it, but the Republicans ran against him saying that if you elect President Obama, he's going to take your guns away. Didn't they say that? Did it happen? Has the Second Amendment been abolished, modified, screwed with at all? No. Absolutely not. Nothing has freaking changed. And it's not going to. That's noise that politicians use to get you scared, all fired up, lit and ready to go. And it might sound like it's a possibility because you are confused. You have been brainwashed in believing that somebody's going to come in your house and take your damn guns away. Are you kidding me? Do you know that there's over 300 million guns and counting, and more guns have been sold under the last 8 years while President Obama's been in office? So what's your problem? More guns have been sold in the last 7.5 to 8 years since Obama's been in office than any other president ever. So what are you afraid of? How many of you have lost your guns? Over 300 million. It's only 330, 340 million people in the country. And by now, it might be more guns than there are people. Because most of the gun crazies, they have multiple guns. And some states make it difficult, more difficult to buy a gun. Other states are loosey-goosey. And people have figured out how to go to another state or buy mail order and get the guns where they're not supposed to have them. So you see, why are we all twisted, confused, and upset about and scared that somebody's going to take your guns away? And y'all buying more guns than ever before. Because you have believed and drank the toxic Kool-Aid. It's called fear aid. Your politicians that you're listening to have put this fear in your mind. So then the only thing that you can think about is go out and buy a damn gun. Now you're a man. You're fearless. You can do anything. You can protect yourself. You are a dangerous person is what you are. You go out and buy a gun and don't know how to use it, have had no training, no sensitivity to owning a gun, you are a dangerous person. That's what you are. You are a fool. You are a dangerous person and very close to being a criminal because somebody scared the piss out of you, made you go buy a gun. Now you've got a gun. And you don't know what to do with it, how to use it, when to use it, or the laws surrounding gun ownership. In the state of Texas, they got open carry. The day that the man, I can't think of his name now, that shot the cops down in Dallas, a news report saying that there was 20 people walking around with rifles on shoulder, open carry. They were legal in doing it. But when the gunfire started going off, they ran like freaking chickens. So it was just a parade of bovine. But there are people who believe that if we were allowed to have open carry or concealed carry and, the crime would never happen. Your argument doesn't hold water. because right there in Dallas, there was 20 people on the streets with open carry. And this guy who shot the cops didn't mean shit to him. He shot the cops, whether you had guns out or not. It didn't stop him. There's some people that think, hey, when you go in a bar, you should be able to take your gun with you. Now, didn't the old Wild Wild West teach us that didn't make sense? You remember all the shootouts in the saloons? Come on, people. Haven't we progressed and moved forward? And we can, based on the history, we can see that doesn't make sense. See a guy sitting there at the card table and they get pissed off and he's losing the game. He lost all his money. He jumps up and starts shooting people because he has access to a gun and he's drunk. And he lost all his money. So what's the difference in today? It's no different. If you go into a bar, it used to be called a saloon, and they don't play cards and dominoes and stuff in most bars, but you might be sitting there at the bar or at a table talking with some friends, and you get a little jacked up, and Jack Daniels kicks in, and then somebody comes in there and starts talking politics, and you disagree with them, and you get into an argument, or the woman you've been buying drinks for all night long tells you to take a hike, and then, what do you mean take a hike? I've been buying you drinks all night long. What's wrong with you? I own you now, girl. What's the matter with you? So now you drunk, you got a 6-shoot on your hip. See, folks, we've seen enough movies. We've seen the history. Do we want to go back to that? Really? Really? Is that what you want to see? Well, that's going to prevent the bad guy from doing stuff. Well, it didn't in Dallas. The bad guy didn't give a damn that there was 20 cats walking around with open carry. Rifles. They ran like dogs. Mad, crazy, scared dogs. They didn't drop down on one knee and say, there he is, boom, 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 boom. Didn't happen, did it? So y'all need to get rid of the fear. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Be a good person. Be a good citizen. And demand that your neighbors are the same way. Have a relationship with your neighbors. Do you know your neighbor's name? Do you know their children's name? Have you ever been to their backyard barbecue? If you live in an apartment or condo, have you ever been into their place? Have you invited them to your apartment or condo? Have you built a relationship with your neighbors? When I grew up, I knew everybody in Lindenwood in Norfolk, Virginia. All the families knew each other. They grew up together. We all went to the same high school. Dr. Douglas that lived down the street, his dad was the high school principal at Booker T. Washington High School at one time. Dr. Douglas was my doctor. He brought me into this world. My mother and Dr. Douglas and their siblings all went to the same schools together. Everybody knew everybody. There was no fussing and fighting. I used to cut the grass with my neighbors. It was a neighborhood. We had relationships. If I was out playing ball, and my buddy, one of my buddies, Charles Ballard, we called him Blackie, Larry Long that lived down the street on West Avenue, we all played ball together in a vacant lot. We didn't have a baseball diamond to go to. We played football in the open lot next door to Mr. Faison, who owned a little grocery store over on the corner. We played in that yard. He didn't care as long as we didn't kick the ball into his window. He had a fig tree back there. We ate figs. Everybody knew everybody. Down the street, West Avenue and Rugby, there was a hair salon. That's where my mother used to go to get her hair done, my grandmother. Okay? Mr. Jordan owned the place, and Brenda Jordan and I and 3 or 4 other friends, we had a little bicycle club called the Silver Dots. We knew each other. Brenda was a few years older than me, and there was Valerie, who lived on the opposite corner, diagonal from the hair salon. Her mother and my mother were friends. They all grew up together. Valerie and I, well, we all went to Mount Olive Baptist Church. And Valerie and I were in a beauty contest, to raise money for the church or whatever it was. I didn't know. I was an infant. So was she. And I won. Valerie, did I kick your butt? So we raised the most money. But it was for, the church or whatever it was. And we all grew up together. I went to Valerie's prom, took her to the prom. She had a boyfriend, and they got into an argument. So, Lee had to step in and be the pitch-in man. So I went to the prom with her. But she's still a very dear friend of mine today. We all grew up together. We all loved each other. We had fun together. We went to dances and parties together. Everybody got along because we had a relationship. We knew each other. We respected each other. That's what's missing. You don't know your neighbors. You won't make an effort to go introduce yourself to them. Because why? I don't know those people. I don't be bothered with nobody. Because you're selfish. And it's not smart. I want to know my neighbors. You ever see these news stories when somebody shoots somebody, kills somebody, a guy kills his whole family and then shoots himself? And then the TV cameras come around and they interview the guy next door. Said, you know Mr. Jones? He go, well, he's been living there about 5 or 6 years now. And, we used to say hello and he seemed like a nice guy. And, he used to hang out with his kids and, everything looked like pretty, they're pretty cool people. But did you know him? Well, no, he just, I used to wave at him and say good morning and, but never had a conversation. You didn't invite him over. He didn't invite you over. If you had, you would have known this guy was nuts. But you don't know your neighbors. There's always a sign. Early signs that somebody has something going on. How do you have people, what was the guy's name in Chicago that was burying bodies in his basement and backyard and all that? Remember that one? And the neighbors didn't know? Come on. What are you, in a coma? How could you not know? There had to be some kind of sign that something crazy was going over in that house. It's like the one up in, was it Cleveland or Detroit? Cleveland or Detroit, where they had these women locked up for years in the house. How'd you not know that? What the hell's wrong with people anymore? No relationship. You don't know your neighbors. You've never taken the time to build that camaraderie, conversation. You don't know them. And everybody wants to stay away from each other. Bad idea. Bad idea. You better get to know those people. Know your neighbors. Know your neighbors. When you go on vacation, your neighbors know you're going on vacation. You might have a criminal son living up in the house, and they know you're on vacation. They know when you're coming back. Even if you don't know them, they know your pattern. But if you had a relationship with them, I think you have a better chance of that not happening than if you don't have a relationship. Because even criminals will say, no, I ain't going to mess with Mr. Jones. They're cool, They invite me over and, anytime I get locked out of the house, he'll help me get in or whatever the situation is. When was the last time your neighbor came over and said, hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Do you have any salt? I'm out of pepper, and I'm in the middle of cooking, and I don't have time to run down to the store. Do you have some black pepper I could borrow? And, I'll bring you a new can tomorrow. Those are the kind of neighbors I grew up around. We knew each other. We took care of each other. We were there for each other. You used to leave your door open, unlocked, windows. Now you're living in a prison. Houses in the inner city with bars on it. Even with the bars, you're afraid to open up your window to get some cool, fresh air in. It's wrong, man. We need to change. And the only way we're going to break through that is to get to know each other better and learn to respect each other. Have some camaraderie, some dialogue. Get these gangs out of your neighborhood. Gangs don't want to be friendly. And as long as you're locked up in your house and not having any kind of dialogue or conversation or engagement, then they're going to rule. They've boxed you in. You might as well throw your hands up in the air and surrender. Say, yeah, y'all own it. Nothing I can do. Nothing I can do because I'm afraid of you. You've tucked your tail between your legs and ran like a scared dog. Stand up. But know your neighbors. Build a relationship. If you have a good relationship with your neighbors, they're not going to rob you. They're not going to steal from you. Okay? They're not going to hurt you because you've got a good relationship with them. That's my belief. That's my experience. And I just wanted to share that with you today. It's been working for me for 66 years. When I've lived in apartments, houses, it didn't matter. I've lived on private gated streets and only had 2 other neighbors. We had parties, the neighbors were invited. And they invited us to their party. Nobody was better or worse than the other person. We had a relationship. No problem. There were days when I remember when I lived in Northern California on a private gated street, there's 3 houses on it. One of the neighbors' little girl came home and she lost or left her key at the house or whatever it was. It was no problem. She came and rang our doorbell and said, hey, what's up? She says, I can't get in the house. And this is pre-cell phone days when your teenager didn't have a cell phone. Now they've got 2 and an iPad. So I said, well, do you have your mother or father's number? Because they weren't at home. Well, yeah, I have my dad's office number. I said, well, come on in. You can call him and let him know what the situation is. And, if he decides it's okay for you to stay here, you can stay here till they come home. So she called him, and then he asked to speak with me, and I spoke with him, and I said, she's here, and, she's fine, and if you want, she can have dinner with us, and, whatever. I made the offer. He goes, well, I'm only, 5 minutes away, so I'll come over and let her in. I said, okay, no problem. She'll be here. You see, but she had somewhere to go that she felt safe. She didn't have to sit on her front porch and wait and hope that mom or dad came home eventually. She came to us. We notified the parent. He came home, let her in. He went back to work. Everybody's happy. Know your neighbors. You never know when you're going to need help, like the little girl needed help. Know your neighbors. Build a relationship with your neighbors, co-workers, friends. Keep your friendships healthy over the years, even if they live on the other side of the country. Touch base with them from time to time. Facebook has made it a lot easier for that to happen. Twitter and Instagram and all the other social media platforms. I've found people that I went to school with in elementary school and haven't seen them in 40 years through Facebook. I am looking for one guy, and I haven't found him yet, that I went to elementary school with, Bowling Park Elementary School on Princess Anne Road in Norfolk, Virginia. I don't remember the exact address, but that's what I do remember. And he lived across the street from the school, and he and I were running one day after school, and I was a little faster than he was, but he was close enough to me to push me from behind and push me into the edge, the corner of the brick building, and crack my head open. There's a scar on my head today. It used to be hidden into my hairline, but now I have no freaking hair left. And so, but I'm not mad at him. He didn't intentionally try to hurt me, but we were young kids in elementary school. But I haven't found him. I don't know where. Jackie Bolding, I think it was his name. A Bowen, a Bolden, or something like that. But Jackie, I'm looking for you. No, not at all. But, social media lends itself to those type of things. You can find people that you haven't seen in years. One of my early girlfriends I found on Facebook. And old buddies, guys I went to school with. So it's kind of cool. I enjoy it. I don't stay on it as much as I used to in the beginning because I'm busy doing stuff. So all my Facebook fans out there, thank you for listening to the show. And again, I ask you to share. Hit that share button. There's two different things that you can show your appreciation or the fact that you're listening, watching. You can hit the like button, and I appreciate those likes. Those are important because it helps me understand who's watching or not. And when you hit the share button and you share it to your page or other social media platforms, then that spreads the word. So there's two different things. Like, which is saying, hey, I like what you're doing. Or the wow, or the laugh, or the cry. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 different images that you can click to show your like or dislike. And then the share button. The share button is maybe more important to the growth of the show because it now introduces the show to your followers, your friends. So if you've got 5,000 friends in your Facebook list and you share the show with them, you're introducing them to the show. And then if they like it, they might do the same thing. Then they share it to their friends. So it becomes viral. It spreads. Okay, that's how we help each other. So you share me, I share you, we share each other. We can grow and everybody can benefit from it. It's about relationships. See, I keep coming back there. You see how that works? We work together. We help each other. We have a relationship. It's a good relationship. It works. You help me. I help you. We both grow. That's what it's all about. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, Lee Michaels Show on the Power of Voices.com. And I enjoy it. And I enjoy it more when you give comments, when you tell us what you like or dislike. And if you don't like the show, that's okay. Tell me what you don't like about it. I've been in the broadcast business for a long, long time. And much of my success has been based on feedback, research from you, the listeners, or the viewers. I'm not going to sit here and do something day in, day out that you don't like. And I'm certainly open-minded to making change. That's how you grow. You don't stick with the status quo. You bring about change. You make modifications. You add, you delete. And if you think what I'm telling you doesn't make sense, do this. Listen to a radio show that you've been listening to for the last 15, 10, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is. And think about the things that you don't like about it. He said, man, if they just stop playing the same damn songs all the time, I'd listen to the show more often. In the case of a music show. Well, I don't like that comedian that they have on that show. Jokes are not funny. Or they always play the wrong version of the song that I like. Whatever it is. They got too many people on the show. I can't figure out who's talking. They talk over each other and all that kind of stuff. Well, a smart programmer, a smart air personality will listen to your likes and dislikes and make adjustments because we're here to do a show that we hope you like. But if you are self-serving, like some of our politicians, and want to be politicians, then they're only looking for something out of it for them. But what they don't understand, if they don't please you, they lose because you won't have the listener or viewership. And you have the choice, millions of places that you can go to now because of the internet to listen to whatever it is you like or dislike. I remember one time my son was in his room, and he had a computer in his room, and he was listening to some music. And I walked in and I said, wow, that's interesting. What are you listening to? He says, it's a mix show. I said, oh, yeah? And I named off the local station. He goes, no, I don't listen to that station. I said, why not? Man, they don't play what I like. I said, well, where's this guy that you're listening to now? He said, New Zealand. I went, New Zealand? He said, yeah, he's playing what I like. I went, wow, that's interesting. And I thought about it. See, I'm an analytical type person. I try to dissect and figure things out. So now, if he's not getting it from the local station, and he stumbles across this guy in New Zealand that's playing the stuff that he likes, okay. So I said, there's a problem and there's a solution. So I went to the president of the company, the radio group that I was working for, and I said, hey, man, let me give you an idea. Why don't we create some channels on our website on each one of the stations that you own with a little hybrid of what your format is? So if you're playing hip-hop and R&B, why don't we, and you don't play the old school R&B, why don't we go and do the old school R&B and put that as another channel on the radio station site? He laid back in his chair and looked at me and said, Lee, why in the hell would I want to do that? I said, and I gave him the story that I just shared with you. He said, but I want him to listen to our main channel. I don't want him to listen to that. I said, you better. And if you don't, your listeners are going to find somewhere else to get what they're looking for if you're not giving it to them. And more importantly, if you do, they will stick with you. And guess what? They're still in your domain. They're still in your world. You haven't lost them completely. You've given them another pie to eat. Maybe they don't want chicken today. They're looking for steak. But if they can get it in your restaurant, they stick with you. They're still serving or being served in your restaurant. He looked at me and says, no, I'm not feeling that. It's okay. Just thought I'd share that with you. People don't get it. So now there's millions and millions of channels out there that people can go to. And if you think just because you're the big dog in your local market and you think that people are going to stick with you forever, you're on drugs. You need to go get some help because that is not reality. People have the choice to go wherever they want to go now. Why do you think iHeartRadio has over 3,000 channels or stations on it? And most of them are not iHeart-owned and operated radio stations. because they want people to come to them. No matter where they're from. But if they get a gazillion people coming to iHeartRadio.com, they got you. And then they can monetize that and make money. Smart. I saw it coming. I tried to tell you, but you didn't want to listen. Hey, have a great day. Be safe. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 on The Power of Voices. I bid you farewell from The Lee Michaels Show. Have a great day. And I love you.